Hey, so today I want to talk about emotional growth. I asked myself, why do people feel sad? And I came to the conclusion that it's basically because their desires are not met. Whether it's from not met from parents, self, social, relationships, or your God relationship, something within that is not met to what you want it to be. And that lack is why people feel sad. So I want to talk about how we can fix that. So when it comes to family or with your parents, this is where, first off, this is really important because this is who you spend majority of your time with, unless you're in school, but still, your parents' opinions and how they treat you is really important because it affects you because it's your environment. So when things aren't met in this category, whether it's neglect, death, abuse, we can feel sad about ourselves because we're in this situation. And one thing that I've learned is being able to detach yourself from a situation like someone else looking at the situation so that you can first have empathy for yourself and not be so hard on yourself. Because a lot of times people can take out their sadness on themselves when someone else does something to them. So definitely do shadow work on that. Like if you struggle with this, with your family and everything, definitely ask yourself why you feel this way or what happened, or just do shadow work. So how you can fix this, like from feeling neglect or abuse, is first understanding, having empathy for the people that did the abusing, which can sound crazy, but when you're thinking about it from a place of love, everybody has a reason that they do something. So when you are going in the motion of accepting and potentially forgiving, you're gonna basically talk to them and see if you can find the reason that they did the things that they do. And even if you don't find the reason, that's fine, because you don't need a reason, but it just helps you to understand and have empathy towards another human, knowing that they make mistakes, and it may be wrong, but they're human as well. And they've probably been hurt before, which is why they are carrying it on and hurting someone else. Because when you don't deal with your own trash, you dump it onto someone else, which is what happened in this case or in this scenario. So understanding and accepting is how you learn to meet the desire of this, or heal that. And I know that as humans, we want validation, and we want our parents to give us the answer that we want, but that's not always going to happen. So at some point you're going to have to give yourself that validation, and you can do that. It just takes inner work and time and effort. Now, getting into lacking desires of yourself, like self lack, people and everybody experiences this because we're humans, and so we have the thoughts like, okay, am I good enough? Was I a mistake? Stuff like this, which you shouldn't have those thoughts, because first, everything happens for a reason, and you're definitely meant to be here. Whenever you feel unworthy, a good thing to do is to look at someone else, and would you think that they're unworthy? Usually you wouldn't, because it's you looking at someone else. So you should take a step out of yourself to look at yourself, and that's how you learn to have empathy with yourself, is by viewing yourself from outside of yourself, viewing it as what it is, an experience. So a lot of times you can feel bad, maybe you make a mistake, and so you're like, oh, I made this mistake, I must not be good enough, or just downplaying your worth, being insecure, which this isn't a good thing to do. Like, it's okay to have self-doubt sometimes, but you need to know that that's just negative. It's negativity. You shouldn't really have that, because you can actually do anything that you want. And this comes from like sitting with yourself and learning about yourself. Like, you have the potential to do whatever you want. So there shouldn't be any room for negativity unless you put it there. Another way to help with this is having empathy towards yourself, just like with the family and stuff like that. Knowing why you do the things you do and giving yourself the time to heal so that you can carry on with your desires, whether it's wanting to make certain grades or wanting to win something. You just have to make little short-time goals and steps for yourself so that you can accomplish it. I think that being your authentic self is really important, because when you act as if you're someone else, first, it's like fake, and you start to feel like self-conscious, because you're wondering, okay, is anybody like noticing the real me? Like, you might not want that to happen, but being yourself is just comfortable, and it comes natural, and it's who you should be, because everybody's different perspective and way about them matters and is important, because it contributes to the collective of everybody in the world. I think that self-image is a really big topic, and so I think that I'll go more in depth with it in another video. But moving on to social desires, people can be sad when there's things like rejection, humiliation, or like shunning towards them. And I think the way that you fix these things, such as like rejection, is there's a reason that there's a rejection going on. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. So if you're being rejected somewhere, you're being wanted somewhere else. So just pay attention to where you put your energy. Like, when you put into yourself the love that you want to get back, like when you put out the love that you want to get back, you will get it back. So when you're getting like hate and like shun, look inwards, because that might be what you're putting out. Because I know people that put out negativity and they wonder why they get it back. But this is why shadow work is really important, because you really get to examine yourself and see how you really are. And that's really important, so that you are self-aware. Being self-aware is really important. And shadow work, it takes, a long time. Like, it's not just gonna happen like in a day. So, get you a book and fill it up with like questions, like ask yourself things, because it's important to get to know yourself so that you can know how to heal yourself. But say you're lacking like friends or something like that and you want more, being your authentic self will attract the friends that you want, because they'll feel your energy and you'll just connect. But yeah, also be like outgoing. Be outgoingly yourself, because there's no need to be like shy or insecure about yourself when you're your authentic self. At that point, you should, be voicing how you feel, and you'll know that your chakra or your energy centers are like aligned and they're where they're supposed to be, because you want to talk about how you feel and your positivity. And then you'll get rewarded in that aspect. Another thing with that is definitely Itzik Bentov, his whole like theory on people being connected. I'll put an image on the screen, but basically he talks about how individual people connect on a higher level, because we at some point in our conscious energy, we connect, and it'll make sense when I put the diagram up. But yeah, that's how you'll really learn to have compassion to others, because it's like we're Like, we're all pieces of one thing. But yeah. So things that you can lack in relationships. There can be rejection, there can be attachment, there can be abuse, there can be multiple things. I think that this one is really easy, but it's hard mentally because a lot of people sometimes can't let go because they feel like they'll be alone. So when you're going through this, if you have like attachment issues, you really need to like focus on healing yourself. And most times this comes from your home life. Like, maybe one of your parents wasn't in your life or something, and so you look for that kind of energy in the wrong places, and you try to fill it with something that isn't good, but you don't know it isn't good because you didn't have anything. So now you're just trying to get something, which is not good, and you need to do shadow work. And all shadow work is asking yourself questions. It sounds spooky. It's not. It's just asking yourself questions to find out why you are the way you are. You know, what happened in your life to make you this way. But yeah, ask yourself important questions like, you know, why am I attached to someone who doesn't treat me right? Or even if they do, you shouldn't be attached to them. So why are you attached? You should be okay with being alone. You should be okay with yourself. And that's why you should be healed before you try to be with someone else. When it comes to things like abuse, that can also come from like family, and you can feel used to it, so you look for that. Or you might find that in someone else, that they abuse you, and you might think that that's okay, but it's not okay. You just might think it's okay because you're used to it, but when you do that work, you'll figure out that that's not okay. You'll be like, you know what? That was not supposed to happen. And, you know, I understand why they did that. That was wrong. I forgive them, and I'll move on and not be in that situation, put myself in that situation. You need to have boundaries when it comes to relationships with anybody, parents, yourself, social, like whatever. But when it comes to things like rejection, just move on. Like, literally move on. Like, if someone doesn't want you, don't chase them, because then they're definitely not gonna want you. So don't chase. Just be yourself. Like, when you're okay with yourself, you're not gonna worry about if somebody else wants you, because you want you, and that's literally all that matters. Lastly, we're gonna talk about God relationship. And a lot of things can leave you sad with this, because you can't physically see Elohim or the Most High, because it's an energy. So when people turn them into a figure, you're thinking, oh, they don't help me, so they're ignoring me, they don't want me. Like, the Most High thinks I'm unworthy. Like, you may feel disconnected, like all of these things, but God is a love frequency. He is pure love, which, when your source, when the thing that created you is pure love, when you have those doubts of being unwanted, that's not coming from God at all. That's coming from something else that's negative and just like dark. So when you're getting those thoughts, just know that that's not coming from a place of God anyway. You may feel like you're doing the wrong thing. If you feel like that, then change. And change can be hard, but it's very easy at the same time, because you know what you should be doing. And if you feel like, okay, I'm trying, but it's hard, like I don't feel good enough. Even Yeshua, Jesus said, why do you call me good? No one is good except God. So, you know, it's just like follow in after Yeshua's footsteps, or like following after love's footsteps, honestly. And just aim to be a good person. It's okay if you don't meet the mark. Most people don't, if not all people don't. So just want to be a good person. I think that's the best thing that you can do when it comes to your desires for a relationship with the Most High, is just wanting to do better and having a good heart posture. And when you make mistakes, you should know that we're going through a process. And Itzhak Bentov's his theory, which I somewhat agree with at this point, like, we're going through a process to ultimately get to godhood. So we're learning about ourselves. And let me try to word this. Okay. So we're evolving into more intelligent beings neurologically. So as time goes on, we're becoming more and more godlike. So as we're going through this life, we're learning things. We're the pieces of God learning about himself in such an intricate way. Okay, it's almost as though in the higher like scheme of things, we're like omnipresent. And that's why God is omnipresent, because we're like little parts of him that are learning everything about this like world, which is really beautiful. And what's evolving is our nervous system, because it controls our senses, and we have about a vibration of 52 to 20,000 vibrations max. So there's a limit, and this was the number for when he was teaching. So it could be different now, but basically we have limited perception. So what we're seeing is just a sliver of what's actually there. But basically, when it comes to a relationship with God, you just have to trust. And as you heal yourself, you'll have a healing relationship with the Most High. Because it's you. Like, it's like you're the Most High's child. So, yeah. It's like all one. Anyways, we're going through a process. It's okay to make mistakes. That's the whole point. You have to make mistakes in order to learn and move on, and make mistakes and learn and move on. That's how you empathize as well, is knowing that you make mistakes as well. And not to say that no mistakes are greater than another, because some mistakes are bigger than others, but you can have compassion in that, in knowing that people make mistakes and people do things from different places of emotions. So yeah, but definitely go heal yourself, and write down goals for yourself, and look at this video and heal these different aspects of yourselves, because I promise, like, it will help you. It will help you. Just deep dive into these different categories. And this is just a start. If you don't know where to start for emotional growth, this is where you start. You look at these subsections, and you ask yourself, where did something go wrong here? And let me fix that mentally. But yeah, guys, thank you. Bye.